For many years, ZORO versus Mr. One has been seen as the creme de la creme fight for ZORO. It was the battle that we always compare the rest of his battles to. And the reason for that is the mixture of incredible and epic moments with where he was at that time and the obstacle that he had to overcome and how far he had to go within himself, within his own teachings, within his own ambition, within his own willpower to overcome that wall that was before him. And that's why that battle has stuck with us for so many years. And it's continued to be the standard, the gold standard of incredible ZORO battles. ZORO versus King for me has not only already met that standard, but based on the trajectory that we're in, it looks like it's going to shatter and recreate a brand new standard. A standard at the very highest level for what we can expect heading into the end game of One Piece in regards to ZORO's battles. We have been waiting, and what makes this just work so well is that we have been waiting the entirety of the post time skip to see ZORO go all out. We've had many different instances where he's been able to display portions and pieces of his abilities, such as against Pika, in this arc, in the awesome battle against Killer, on the big battle on the roof. We were able to see a lot of the things that he can do, but it wasn't the ZORO battle taking place in the arc. And so right here against Kaido's right-hand man, against King, who has been just marvelous. I love King, dude. And the more I see him, the more I see his cocky swag and how he handles himself, how he does certain things, how dirty he fights, how unpredictable his fighting style is. I absolutely adore it. But when it comes to him as an opponent for ZORO, it's so perfect. Because he's an individual that's willing to do whatever underhanded tactics necessary to ensure a 100% success rate. He is willing to do everything. Everything and anything, and it is very consistent with his character as we continue to talk about. Throughout the course of this arc, he's done many things under Kaido's nose, under the noses of everybody, just to ensure that what he has in mind is in his vision for, the best possible way we could go about certain things. He'll hide and keep things to himself in order to ensure that there's a 100% chance of success. He takes it upon himself. He takes that responsibility in a similar way as ZORO. Now, ZORO shares it. He lets it be known in the crew, right? But he's like, yo, captain's orders. We follow the captain. King, on the other hand, he also takes and bears the responsibility of being the right-hand man, but he goes against captain orders. He will go out and do his own thing in order to ensure the very best for what he believes is the best for the scenario at hand, right? That's the way that I see it. That's the way that this arc has led me to believe thus far. And not just him, but Queen as well, but especially King. So for an individual like this that tends to go behind his captain's back in order to do certain things and fights in a very underhanded type of way, has little to no honor, quote unquote, like a samurai's code when it comes to the way that he handles himself and conducts himself in battle. It was the perfect battle for ZORO to have within this arc because he is someone that cannot be predicted. I mean, you saw within this chapter that ZORO went in to attack him. He ate the attacks. This man's ornament hockey, King's defensive ornament hockey, is out of this world. Dude ate that attack and then proceeded to blow up. Like, what? He's nasty. And I love how in this chapter, he's the one who presents the kingly ambitions thing. Like, oh, it appears that you have kingly ambitions as well. I love, it's just like, the word kingly is, I don't know, it sounded so good coming from King, right? And it's just, he has Conqueror's Haki too. That clash is incoming. That clash is incoming and it's going to be something legendary. But it just really makes you think. In regards to what ZORO's going to have to do, you already saw within this chapter, one of the things that made this chapter so special, and going back to the Mr. One fight and and setting the standard. One of the things that made this fight so special is that it took everything that's already been established within the series so far, and especially within this arc, and it allowed us to see payoff to a lot of that, man. Like the Tsunachi plotline, the Shimotsuki Kozaburo plotline, and seeing how that connects to Zoro and his past, because we always had some sort of thought of Zoro's connection to Wano and to the Shimotsuki, especially after that Tsunachi line. It was just, you knew it was leading to something greater, and it looks like this is only beginning, right? This is only the beginning of what we're going to be seeing, especially with potentially the plotline with Zoro's pops still having to be addressed here in the near future, I'm going to assume. But in regards to just this chapter in this battle, it like took me back to the very beginning of the series, to episode 19, when you get to see Zoro's flashback for the first time, and you see why it is that he's on this journey to become the world's strongest swordsman. And you come to understand just how much this means to him, because he's doing this for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? From the very beginning, he's been doing this as a promise to someone else. That promise, he has put that, locked that key and put that within his heart. That's his thing. He kept that promise because he wants to become the world's greatest swordsman for both him and for Kuina. But at the end of the day, that is a shared dream. You know what I'm saying? It's not just him. That's why at the end of the day, when he becomes the world's strongest swordsman, I guarantee you we will have the ghost of Kuina or Kuina's aura, whatever it is, behind him to celebrate that occasion, that accomplishment. That's why I love the end of this chapter so much. Because this final line, where he states that he made promises to his captain and to his oldest friend, that is what's driving him right now. As we've seen before in chapter 10:10, when he first showed true Conqueror's coding, true Conqueror's hockey against Kaido, he was doing it to defend Luffy. He was like, yo, you ain't touching that, man. You ain't touching my captain, not on my watch. Not as long as I'm breathing oxygen. Went in there and delivered Ashura's dead man's game. And Kaido received a cut that he's going to feel for the rest of his life, if he is going to be alive after this arc. But that he's going to feel until he's defeated, dead, whatever. That scar cut deep. That was a scar with all of the weight of what this man has had to go through. And so, right here, right now, he was reminded of why it is that he is on this journey in the first place, thanks to what has taken place in this arc so far. And so when we saw his initial hockey blooming against Kaido, we were like, holy flagners, he has Conqueror's hockey. Now here we're seeing it again. Because so far throughout this arc, we have had the conversations of the wings of the Pirate King, doing this because he sees Luffy's dream in sight, right? He's doing this knowing that if he defeats King, it's going to give them a higher probability, a higher possibility in order to win. But at the end of the day, there's something within Zoro that drives him to want to be the best, to want to be the greatest. It's not just his own dream, it's somebody else's dream. And the thing that's going to allow Zoro to surpass King, whatever King's ambitions may be. King looks like an individual, based on what he stated in this chapter, that he also has kingly ambitions. He also has ambitions that go above and beyond the normal ambitions. He as you see, he has to go through underhanded tactics he's used to. It's already second nature to him. He's used to doing underhanded things, these dirty ways, heel-like tactics in order to get what he wants. He's realized that's what he needs to do. You need to be extremely strong and be willing to do anything in order to achieve what you want to achieve. Zoro's going to show to him in this battle. Whenever we continue and we get the legendary, oh my god, I can't even imagine the aura, the 3 blades all covered in Conqueror's coating, dude, it's going to be so good. But we're going to get to see, with the weight of Sandai Kitetsu and Wado Ichimonji, I'm not even going to count Enma here, the weight, you saw what he did in this week's chapter, you saw how much those swords mean to him, man. He was willing to sacrifice his own body to ensure that at the very least his blade stayed alive. He was like, yo, I'm Sandai Kitetsu's staying, and Wado Ichimonji's saying, these things are living. Both of these things have been with me for far too long. For the entire journey. I'm not letting go of these things. they've been with me longer than everyone else. Because while everybody else was training in 3D2Y, these blades were with me. These blades never let me go. When I was alone at night and with no one else, I would look at my blades, look at my own reflection, and be like, what is my goal? What am I trying to do? And I guarantee you, while Zoro was training, in order to get stronger, for us to get to 3D2Y and get to the new world and get back to Sabaody, he was thinking the very same thing he's thinking right now. Except right now, his resolve is even more solidified. He was thinking two things. Number one, I need to become the world's strongest swordsman, not only for myself, but for Kuina. I lowered my head, I bowed my head before my rival, before the world's strongest man, the man that I want to defeat. Because I want to ensure that that man reaches his goal too. The man that I follow in the go with the coat. So in Zoro's mind, now he has the weight of two. The weight of two dreams. That weight carried in Wado and in Sandai. And you throw Enma into the picture. I think I now am starting to understand why Zoro has 3 blades. Zoro has 3 blades to represent that his ambitions go farther than just being for himself. I don't know Mihawk's story. I have no idea what Mihawk's story is. I don't know what he had to do to become the world's strongest swordsman. I don't know what he had to achieve to become the world's strongest swordsman. But I followed Zoro's journey. And I know that he does this, and he has been on this massive journey of doing things, not just for himself, but for others as well. Even though from the very beginning he's been doing this for somebody else. You see how much he has grown in terms of trust. Whereas in the beginning he only trusted Luffy, now you see how much trust he has in the rest of his crew. So now you have, within Zoro, in each blade, Kuina's dream, Luffy's dream, and the protection of the Straw Hats. That's Zoro's ambitions. And what he's willing to do in order to protect those and ensure that he is able for him to play his role so that Luffy can achieve his dream and then he can achieve his own. That's the weight of 2, man. That's a lot of weight on your shoulders. You're the number 2. You're the top dog. Everything runs to you before you go to the cap. The weight of that is what's going to allow Zoro to get past King, and it's going to allow Zoro to get past Shiryu, and it's going to allow Zoro to get past Mihawk. Because at the end of the day, what they're fighting for, and the weight of their blades, going back to the conversation back in Arlong Park, where he was having that fight with Hachi directly after facing Mihawk, and they had a conversation about the weight of the blades. And just how much weight his blade has in comparison to Mihawk's. What did Mihawk have to do in order to achieve that weight? And the conversation he had within his own self. We got to see this week. What was it that you wanted? He asks his blade, because he's already had this conversation with Sandai and with Wado. Guarantee you many different points in the past, but we're seeing the conversation with Enma here. And what I love so much about it is that he specifically specifies, is my hockey, not Odin's, not this guy, not that. He says is my hockey not good enough? Are you not satisfied with just having my hockey? And Enma's over here screaming at him, son, I don't want your hockey. I want your will. I want the will of a conqueror. I want the will of somebody who is willing to do anything to accomplish their dreams, to accomplish their goals. The weight of 2 individuals within his own heart attempted to go out and become the world's strongest swordsman. That will, the will to see someone else accomplish their goals as well. That ambition, that's what I want. These kingly ambitions that go far above and beyond everything else. That's what I thrive on. That's what makes Enma drive. And that's why Zoro has to conquer it and tell it, yo, you gotta stop, son. You gotta stop trying to take over. And so he, like, Flagnards, calm down, man. And it's so great that as he tells him to calm down and as he asks that question of what do you want, and he's like, yo, you better relax. And you see what goes through Zoro's mind when he has this flashback. And the will of a conqueror overcomes him. Like, yo, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for my dream. Because at the end of the day, that's what makes Zoro's character journey so special. Is that, yes, his dream is something that he accomplishes himself. But because he's surrounded by other individuals who are supporting him on this journey, that believe him as much that believe in him as much as he believes in himself, knows that he has the backing of a friend long gone within his heart, and then a captain who believes in his ambitions the same way he believes in his own in his captain's ambitions, and he's willing to do anything in order to ensure that he gets his dream too. All three of those things is what's going to allow this Conqueror's coded battle that's about to take place from here on out. I don't care what King brings into the picture, whether he continues to have these underhanded tactics, whether he comes in talking about he wants revenge for his race, or he wants to understand more things about the Lunarians, or he wants to, whatever he wants to do, whatever his kingly ambitions that he was talking about, whatever his thing is, that I guarantee you is up in that same caliber as Zoro's in regards to what he wants to do. He may not want to be the world's strongest swordsman, but what he's trying to do probably is insanely high up there. He has a crazy ambition, so he's able to understand Zoro. But at the end of the day, what's going to allow Zoro to overcome this man is the weight of all of those ambitions and the journey. The end of this battle is going to come down to how Wado and Sandai, just how far does that relationship go? Enma, the new blade that he has brought into the picture, just how far is he willing to take it? How far is he willing to go? Because you know how Zoro is. In the heat of battle, my boy has never disappointed. He's never disappointed. Even in a loss against Mihawk, he took that loss and he said, yo, strike me right here. Strike me right here. Because I'm going to look at this thing for the rest of my life as an indication of what I have to do next time. Success, even within a loss. That's why Zoro is about to whoop this man. That's why Zoro is about to whoop him. Because of that experience. Now Zoro has, whereas back then whenever he first fought against Mihawk, he had the resolve, he had the ambition, he just didn't have the experience to accompany it. He didn't have the weight to accompany it. We're talking about a dude now with not only that same amount of ambition, but ambitions to go even further beyond that and new ambitions on top of that. But now he also has the battle experience, the humbleness of training under the man that he wishes to defeat, and the willingness to understand that he has not reached the apex yet. So he's going to be learning new things within this battle. All of that is going to combine to attacks with so much weight behind them. Attacks with the Conqueror's coding is going to represent the weight of this journey so far, both with his blades and himself as a person. And I think that's what makes this awakening into Conqueror's Haki so special, and why it is, without a doubt for me, one of the best chapters in this arc. It's because it's so perfectly aligned with Zoro's character arc. It's so perfectly aligned with Zoro's journey to become not only the world's greatest swordsman, but to also fulfill his role as a member of the Straw Hat crew. And it's just so incredibly great that this is happening while he's facing an individual, that is clearly overpowering him right now. Clearly overpowering him. And it's so, so good that as he is fighting here, you already know he's heavily damaged. You saw what he had to do before this. Never complained a single second. It's like, yo, I'm doing this. This dude is no joke. He's no joke. But I'm getting the job done. I love Zoro, man. I love Zoro because he takes accountability and responsibility for his actions, and he never complains. Goes into a battle wounded, don't complain. Goes into it 50%, doesn't complain. We're going to find a way to overcome this. That's it. That's it. It's going to happen. And because he has that mindset, King doesn't stand a chance. King may be overpowering him right now, But now that his ambitions, now that his experience and the weight of his blades has caught up with his ambitions, now that the Conqueror's Haki is unlocking within himself, because he's allowed it to unlock within himself. He's always had the potential. But now that it's being unlocked, now that it's blooming in the heat of battle, now we're going to see the truest battle between two right-hand men of emperors. Now we're going to see King actually have to utilize every trick in the book in order to survive. Because now he can't just brush off a Shishi Son Son, the lethal version. Now he can't just brush off the Dragon Twister. Now he can't just brush off any type of attack that Zoro gives him. Because all of those three blades are going to be coming in with the weight and the strength of this journey so far. And if he's not ready to block it, if he does not come back with equal amounts of ambition with his own Conqueror's coded attacks, then you best believe this man's about to start receiving some massive damage. And I'm all here for it. Zoro versus Mr. One for years has held that standard. Zoro versus King is about to take that standard to an entirely different level. This week's chapter of One Piece was without question one of my favorite Zoro chapters in the series. And it's once again another showcase in this wonderful arc of just how many character moments we've had in it so far. And it looks like it's only getting better, because in the last couple of chapters, we've had some of the best character moments in the entire series. In the entire series. This man, bro, we started the arc with one of the best Zoro moments in chapter 909. And the man has had like 50 of them since. And one could argue that this was the very best one yet. And it's not even the end of the fight yet. Remember Zoro's words, man, about the promise. Because that promise, the promise of a man, the promise of someone who truly wishes to accomplish a promise that means something to you, a promise that you're willing to do anything for, when you have two of those promises, one to an old friend and one to your captain, and you have somebody like Zoro that is willing to do anything in order to ensure those promises are met, King can't compare. King can't compare. Because, like I said, I don't know what King is going to bring into the picture. But the promise of a man that has the weight and experience to back that up, that's Roronoa Zoro, man. That's why he's one of the GOATs. And while he'll forever be one of the GOATs. That's our world's strongest swordsman, man.